Hello and welcome back to 5 on It News. Now with music, right? Okay, we're going to be trying some new things out. We've had a huge break, guys. We've had a huge break. Just very small support for this, but I think there's a dedicated little group that really likes this stuff. The reason that I'm bringing this back, first of all, I had some problems with the microphone on my computer. I've since worked it out. Things should be sounding good by now. I hope that they are because I do this all in one take. I already did one take and had some more problems, so we'll see how this goes. I think it's going to be the one to stick. I'm bringing this back because I was at a show. I figured out the microphone thing a couple of weeks ago, I'll be honest. But I was at the show over the weekend, this wonderful venue called New Mount Nashville in Asheville, North Carolina. I'll look out for them. They're going to be bringing a lot of good shows around. I saw tons of friends that I'd seen in a while. I said, hey, Mr. 5 on It News himself, what happened? Where's 5 on It News? Why don't we get this anymore? We love it. We love it. And, it made me think, okay, people value this. I should keep it up. It's fun for me. I've been staying up on the news. I don't know if you have. I definitely have. And there's so much that's happened over this time. We're bringing it back with a couple changes. First of all, we're going to be trying out some music. Second of all, as you can already tell, hopefully, we're going to be playing it a little fast and loose from now on with 5 on It News. I was taking way too much time to let you know my process. I was going through cataloging all these stories, doing extensive research, and putting them into a Word document, fleshing out all the stuff that I wanted to talk about, and then running through and talk about it. I don't have that time. I just don't have that time. There's not enough hours in the day to do the stuff that I've got to do, for me and mine. So from now on, we're playing it fast and loose. I'm pulling up a bunch of tabs on my computer. I'm clicking through the tabs. So we're just going to go for it. We're just going to talk about it. And, that's how we're going to play it. So without further ado, welcome back to 5 on It News. Let's do a little recap. There's been so much going on in the world. I'm not going to be able to cover it all. Just off the top of my head, well, the Ukraine-Russia thing kind of boiled down a little bit. Kim Jong-un was supposed to come over to Russia. This is just a weird little thing. He's not anymore, actually. We have had the conflict against ISIS is still going on strong, but there have been some notable gains by the Iraqi military. Good job for those guys. In the past, it's just been the kind of thing where they're trained in one way, and they get out in the field, that fire starts coming at them, and they literally let Allah guide the bullets. I mean, you can't play it like that, guys. We've had, what else have we had go on? We've had all the election stuff going on. We've had Hillary announced, and then everybody, all these wild accusations. We've got people jabbing at her. We've got her jabbing at people. We've got, all this stuff against Obama. We've got Jeb Bush back in the mix, all this stuff. I got to be honest, I don't care about any of that. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff. None of it. And maybe quarter 2, 2016, second quarter, we'll start talking about it. That's when we'll start talking about it. Or if something crazy happens, something that's just totally worth noting. And as you know, sometimes I like to point out stories that make me giggle. So definitely some stuff can come out of elections that will make everybody laugh, or just, hold their heads and laugh disbelievingly as they lament what our country has become. What else has gone on? We've had, a lot of economic movements across the world. We've had some different kinds of, market positioning go on in China, some restricting of the way that things are going to work in Hong Kong. We've got, money flowing from place to place. Right now is a great time for business in the world, luckily enough. And, there's just been a lot of stuff. I can't go over it all. I can't even remember it all. I hope you've been keeping tabs on it. Without further ado, let's get right to it. 5 on It News today, playing it fast and loose from here on, just to conserve time and make it fun. And a shout out to my Aunt Karen Ann. She wants me to be really serious, I think. I gotta play it fast and loose. Got my little rave speaker over here. All right, let's do it. Quick mentions. Let's go. First thing I want to talk about, I actually already did talk about. Kim Jong-un was supposed to go to Moscow. It was just a big FU from Putin to the West. Kind of, we're going to bring out the leader of North Korea. It's not happening. Of course, it was never going to happen. Second thing I want to talk about, this is one of the bigger stories of the day that I really, really appreciate, is that German police have thwarted a Boston Marathon bombing-style attack that was supposed to happen in a bomb cycle race. It was this couple, this radicalized Islamic couple. And they had all this bomb material. They were going to blow up the race, and the German police came in. They thwarted it. They got those people behind bars. Good job, German police. Next story I absolutely love. This is a very important one, and I hope that it lifts your heart. If you remember, there were like 100 women and children that were, or female children actually, that were captured by Boko Haram. We've been talking about Boko Haram Boko Haram, launched its major attacks in Nigeria, also in Chad and Cameroon, and then Nigeria responded by bringing these nations together. Niger, Chad, Cameroon, coordinating airstrikes, got a military offensive together, started pushing back Boko Haram, taking back territory. Well, now Nigerian military has found over the past week, they've found like 300 women and children that have been rescuing from Boko Haram camps. We're not sure if this is the kind of Take Back Our Girls campaign, kids. It can't be verified yet, but I mean that just lifts my heart. To get these women back from basically in slavery from Boko Haram, and I hope we see that trend keep up. Yes. Also, I think we talked about it, 2 months ago, and I was Boko Haram has become part of ISIS now. So any blow to ISIS is, a victory for the world. Next thing that needs to be talked about is an international tragedy. An earthquake struck Nepal, 7.8. Death toll has passed 5,500 people. And the stories that are coming out of this are absolutely harrowing. There's unknown what's kind of going out kind of in frontier lands out there outside of support, but the only stories that we can pull from this are a child taken from the rubble that lives, or 2 teenagers and stuff. So many people died that a single person that lived through one of the major buildings collapsing, those are heroic stories. My heart goes out to Nepal, everybody that was there. I had a couple friends in the area. Luckily they were all safe. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing. Just a very interesting little thing to mention, which is that we've been having these discussions with Iran where they're going to lessen their nuclear program, build it back up just for power and energy production, and we're going to ease some sanctions on them. As this is all going on, of course, there's crazy accusations flying around. George Bush coming out saying, "Hey, we shouldn't, we absolutely should not have, ease the sanctions on Iran." I personally don't think that it's really a problem. I think that it's a good thing that Iran is willing to interact with the West, and I don't think they're going to pull, Machiavellian, 10 years down the road, we really built the bomb. They don't have anything to stand to gain from that. They're waking up to the fact that this kind of stuff just doesn't work. And it's extremely, complicated in the first place. So, but Iran seized this merchant ship. And so now, as cargo ships go through the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. Navy is going to be escorting ships that are flagged with any U.S. cargo. And because there was, Iran seized the ship. I mean, if Iran is trying to play nice, why would they, do this stupid stuff? Who knows? Okay, so let's move on. This next story I really, really love. It really just, it brings a little to my heart. And we want to talk a little bit about the, environmental stuff going on in the world. So this is that Pakistan is investing $150 million to plant 1 billion trees in 4 years, trying to grow an industry of reforestation. And it's because illegal logging, climate change, the conflicts that went on, just, so many hectares were lost. So they're going to plant 1 billion trees in 4 years. They've got $150 million in the line. They're trying to create an industry around it as well. Wow. Doesn't this make you feel good? That's amazing. That's amazing. Can't we get more stuff like that going on across the world? Man. Okay, cool. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, we'll go ahead and we'll just talk about something that's a little bit kind of off kilter. We just talked about the environmental thing. Now I'm going to talk about a tech thing. Maybe we'll try to do that every time from now on. We got one environmental thing. We'll have one tech thing. The tech thing that I want to talk about today is that Uber is the do-it-yourself taxi thing where people can sign up to be a taxi driver. They come, they pick you up, you go where you want to go. It's a little bit more expensive than a normal taxi. It's used extensively, destroying the taxi industry. Whatever. I've used it. It's great. I've met some really nice drivers, some really nice people. So Uber is quietly testing a merchant delivery program where you can basically shoppers can get same-day delivery of things that they order through Uber Rush couriers and Uber drivers, right? And so this happened. We found out about this because TechCrunch kind of obtained some leaked training documents for Uber drivers. They're about to do this. I just think it's very, very interesting. It's always important to pay attention to things like this. Who knows? 26 months, 6 months, maybe 4 months from now, every single order you make for anything online could be through Uber. Pretty crazy. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is kind of the big news everywhere, and it's not something I would normally cover because it's very insular and it's very, especially as the major story, it's just in America, but the whole world's weighing in, and I think that it's important to at least mention it. So there was, a death in custody of this young man named Freddie Gray, an African-American in Baltimore, after an altercation with the police, and Baltimore kind of exploded in protests. And I'm not really going to, you guys know about this. Of course you know about this. I don't want to focus on that. What I want to focus on instead is two things. These are me ruminating on the subject a little bit more. And one of the things I've already talked about on my Facebook. And, let's go ahead and get this off the rack a little bit. Ooh, yeah, just a little house. We're in it. Talking about Baltimore protests. Let's get it. Okay, so fast and loose, guys. Fast and loose. If you don't like the new format, I'm sorry. This is how we gotta play it now. We just gotta play it fast and loose. So, there have been these protests. There was looting. There was rioting. There's two things I want to mention. First thing, absolutely. I think a lot of you have caught on to this, but I'm just gonna reinforce it. Is that the media portrayal of what's been going on in Baltimore is focusing on the sensationalist aspect, which is the riots and stuff. The truth is that, the vast majority of the protests have been functionally peaceful. Now, they sometimes do still elevate into chants about, basically saying, big FUs to the police and that there will be no peace until there's justice, stuff like this. That does happen. That does turn some people off the protests, but they have been largely peaceful. The looting, the rioting has been one aspect of it, okay? I just want to keep that in mind as the sensationalist stuff comes out of the looting, rioting, all that kind of stuff. Just remember, man, this has been mostly peaceful. People are doing their job as protesters. Kind of as a segue into the next thing, I want to say something that no one else is going to say, that you're going to talk to, which is that I applaud the Baltimore Police and the National Guard for how they've been handling this. The way that kind of, military / policing personnel handle a riot situation can either turn it into something explosive and horrible, like we've seen in other instances all too recently, or it can, take something that's chaotic and bring it into, some stable kind of place where people can get the ideas out there that they need to get out there, still protest and still be safe about it. The National Guard's out there. There's 2,000 of them. They're keeping a really low profile. The Baltimore Police are using, nonviolent tactics against protesters mostly. And who knows? The second that I'm saying this, this will change. We're entering, the afternoon of another day of protesting. But I applaud the way that it's being handled. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is just a last little thing that I want you to keep in mind, okay? So, whenever there's a riot, whenever there's civil unrest, whenever there's a revolution, whenever there's a war, whenever there's a conflict, there's always an underlying economic or needs-based factor, resources factor, okay? So I've been seeing people going like, on my Facebook, I've got a lot of people that are like really heart connected, really feeling it for everyone out there, and they're like, guys, you can't loot, you can't do this. This isn't how we get stuff done, This isn't how we change the world, Oh my gosh, this is horrible. At the same time, this isn't, they're just like, how are you protesting Freddie Gray by looting? This doesn't make any sense. Well, one thing I just want to remind everybody that whenever you see something like this, there's always got to be an underlying needs and resources lacking. That is the factor that creates so many of the turns of history. And when you look at history, you look at the major wars, major conflicts, there's a lot of times there's an underlying economic factor that's right below that. It's hiding right behind the history, right? So, and I was talking to somebody about this recently, and they said, if you're on my Facebook page, you saw this a couple days ago, but I was talking to somebody, we had a conversation, they were like, well, what about oppression? Well, what oppression is a limiting of your ability to take care of your needs. Your needs are to be able to be a functioning member of the society that you are, have friends, family, shelter, employment, all the things that food, all that kind of stuff. So when there's a lack of resources, there's going to be conflict. Baltimore has been down in the weeds economically for a long time. There's also been a lot of police oppression, which is the limiting of people's ability to gather resources and also to enact their needs and to fulfill themselves as humans. And, it's, of course, something like this would explode, from this. Of course, we also have kind of a cultural legacy that's gone back to, prior riots recently. But I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, so that's the show for this time. We're going to do a quick recap that we like to do. I'm checking on the time. We're at 13 minutes. Go ahead and finish it up. Kim Jong-un didn't go to Moscow. Germans thwarted a terrorist attack. A bunch of women and children have been saved from Boko Haram. The Nepal earthquake has, been absolutely horrible for everyone. We've got U.S. convoys having to guide people that are leaving, or guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran seized this merchant ship. We've got Pakistan investing $150 million to grow, plant a billion trees in 4 years. Whew, love that one. We've got Uber, that's going to be, your new Amazon. We've got the protests in Baltimore and a couple comments about that. And that is the show for today. So, guys, we're going to be changing over the way this promotion works a little bit. I've been focusing on Facebook a little bit too much. Guys, I got to tell you something. Facebook's a little dead when it comes to, trying to start out a page. The way that their monetization works is that it used to be you could pay if you wanted more reach, and it was great. But it wasn't that great, and mostly you could rely on the organic kind of virality of things. Well, now it's totally different. The organic virality of things is almost non-existent, and if you pay for it, it's really good. I mean, you get really great results from Facebook if you pay a little bit. There's a lot that goes into this, but, at the same time, I've just got to realize that, hey, Facebook's great. We're going to keep on posting there. YouTube has its own thing going on. It's going to be Twitter. It's going to be Twitter that this is going to be able to be more successful on. We'll have to branch out to Instagram. But follow me, 5 on It News. At 5 on It News. That's the Twitter hashtag. That's with the number 5, not the letter. Go ahead and hit it up. We're going to be blasting out there more so. I might do little write-ins and stories. If you're on Twitter, follow me there. Like, share, favorite, subscribe on YouTube. Like on Facebook. Do all that stuff. Guys, we're back. 5 on It News is back, playing it fast and loose, baby. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We're all going to keep up with the news together. We're going to be informed. We're going to be able to have intelligent conversations. Of course, I'm just giving you breadcrumbs, and they should trail all the way back to you going on and reading the news when you have your own time and, forming a more analytical and maybe historical perspective on some of these stories. But, guys, we're almost at 16 minutes. Wow, it feels good to be back. Once again, Edwin Leskin from Asheville, North Carolina, signing off on 5 on It News.